All right, welcome to Flux Motorsport here on Flux TV. We are at the Willow Springs International Raceway in Southern California, the Death Valley Desert, for tonight's event, round two of the 2021 Season 2 Flux American Sports Car Championship here running the GTE class. I am your host tonight, Carlin Hicks, back with you for round two. Last week, we had a fantastic opener to the ASC here at Daytona. And as we prepare to continue the tour jumps cross-continent all the way from Central Florida to Southern California, Willow Springs International Raceway, about 75, I believe 75, 80 miles east of Los Angeles. In that vicinity, may not be quite that far, but a track we have been coming on here, or coming to here, I should say, here in the predecessors and the current Flux American Tour for many, many seasons. So as standard here for the American Sports Car Championship, the qualifying will be a 20-minute session. Get myself out here so I can get on the monitor and we will walk you through some of this week's action. Pull up my stats here. Look forward to seeing some of our viewers here on the live chat. We're going to jump on here at the beginning in the number 21 Corvette, Dale the Whale, last week's winner in the traditional American Tour opener at Daytona. Just a terrific race that he had. He had a hell of a chase going on with a newcomer to the series, Just Fiddlin', who we are going to talk about here momentarily, as I'm going to pull up our docs from last week. Obviously last week's standings, last week's finish in the season opener, I should say, is the de facto standings after round 1 of 8. So Dale the Whale, a veteran from last season, was the champion of the Flux Stock Car Championship a season ago. Did a fairly solid here in GTE as well. And it is a Corvette-dominated series. We will see some Ferraris. We've got one Porsche. We will also see the shout out to Daz. Hello, Daz, one of our viewers. We'll see the odd Porsche, excuse me, a Ferrari, a couple of Ferraris, and a couple of Fords in the field. But it is a Corvette-dominated series. Corvette took the entire podium last week at Daytona. So at the moment, the Flux American Sports Car Championship is being dominated by the Corvettes here in the GTE class, but we're seeing some development. Those Fords have been fast. We've seen Ferraris running up front. They were on the podium last season. It looks like Dale went off, or there he goes, coming through the traffic. Looking at the driver who finished second last week at Daytona, was occupying the second step on the podium, a rookie driver here to Flux Motorsport, the American Just Fiddlin'. He had a terrific run. He qualified, I believe he said in 9th or 7th, to check my notes, but drove it all the way up to a second place finish in the opener last week at Daytona. Was running laps right there with the race winner Dale the Whale, and so he, with that podium finish in the opener, has definitely announced himself as a contender for the championship this season. We'll have to see what he can put up. Is right there, you saw him put up still early in the session obviously, but 1:12.4, and he is at the top of the chart at the moment. Mick Toasty is the driver we are missing this week. A shame. He had a fantastic podium run, finishing third last week at Daytona, but our fourth place driver is in the field this week, and that is the Team Paris Spirit car of Super Crusher. Drove that car to a fourth place run. He had a fast car as well at Daytona, and has just been steadily moving up. He got his first win in the series last season at Laguna Seca near the end of the season, so he is a former winner here in the Flux ASC, and with a 4th place finish in the opener has himself in a pretty good spot moving forward. Our 5th place performer last week was the highest finishing Ford, and that is Taijo, who just put up a 1:11.8 and briefly occupied the top of the slot. He's in the number 2 factory Ford GT. Taijo, a European driver coming over here to the Flux American Tour, and he has steadily had that thing running fairly well. I believe he was 6th or 7th in the championship last season, and has been steadily developing that car. And as he gets it back in the pits and restarts his run with a 1:11.3 that puts him at the top of the charts, he has that Ford humming along pretty nicely. Last week's 6th place finisher was Chris M. Sport. I believe he was a reserve driver and is out. And that brings us to Jack NZ in the Corvette. NZ Jack from New Zealand. Ran over here on the American Tour last season in the Indy cars and the American sports cars. And he comes off a 7th place run last week at Daytona. Definitely wants to get it up on the podium to get himself back in the hunt here in the championship, and looking good so far here in qualifying. This is a quick driver, very smart. A lot of the viewers will recall him in the season opener for IndyCar last season at Long Beach. He had a fantastic duel with Cat Guy, finishing 2nd by just half a second after the full 45 minutes. So this is a guy we fully expect to see contending here, but after a 7th place run, I would say he definitely wants to get at least up in the top 5 this week, as that looks like Dale the Whale going around there. 8th place last week was Revs Martin. That is, and he's got that car banged up already, finding him as we found him last week. Revs, the teammate in the Team Perispirit Corvette of Super Crusher, and also happens to be Super Crusher's dad. So father-son team here. Call it the Rob and Chris Dyson of Flux Motorsport. Rev had a car that was well within the top 5 at points during the race last week at Daytona, and it was only a few, as David Hobbs would say, schmozzles that pushed him back to an 8th place finish. Still a solid run for a driver who made his debut in the series just at the tail end of last season, so now has just 2 career starts in the series, making his 3rd here tonight, but managed to come home with an 8th place finish. Coming home in 9th last week was Deadly Hawk, the Porsche factory driver, lone Porsche in the field this year, there in the 92, and he has been a steady mid-pack performer in that car dating back to the inaugural season last season. And I would not be the least bit surprised to see him move up. He did not seem to have the car that was ready to do it last week at Daytona, as he goes sliding off wide right there, does a great job catching it back. But let's see what the Porsche here has for Willow Springs this season. And rounding out our top 10 in the points, which is as far as I'm going to go, is Muttley in the 2nd Ford factory car, the Australian driver. Muttley managing the 10th place finish last week, and we'll be hoping for the same. Veteran driver, he's run this track for a long time. I think the key for him is to stay out of trouble. He got some early damage last week and made a recovery drive just to end up with the points where he got them. All right, get ourselves back up front where NZ Jack has run that Eggmelt Corvette to the top of the time chart with a 1:11.167, still 11.5 minutes. Tell the drivers, or tell the viewers too, to keep in mind one of the best features of Project Cars 2 is the Live Track 2.0. So you will see rubber buildup through the session, and much like a real life session, the fastest times usually come at the tail end of the session. Those who would doubt me, remember last week's qualifying at Daytona. Pogo Mojo was holding that top spot, and after the session timer had run out on the very last lap of competition, Dale the Whale stole the pole position and the bonus point from him on his way to the win. So we are definitely looking for what's going to be a massively competitive race. The Flux ASC was last season. CDN Trooper was the champion. He is not back in the series running in Europe this season. But we have a great influx of talent. As I said, Jim Fidlin, the new American driver, second place last week at Daytona. Now, Daytona can be a bit of a outlier of a track with the roval setup and, you know, the fact that it's such a high-speed course. But the Flux American Sports Car Championship here on the tracks in North America, a lot of them tend to be that way. Willow Springs Road America also earned the mark that way for being fast tracks. We do have some technical circuits as well, but this championship makes its way across North America and really puts the test to the drivers on this continent as far as how they're going to run these cars and how they're going to wear them. Willow Springs, I will say, as a driver with many years of experience racing here in all forms of motorsports, stock cars, open wheelers, sports cars, this is the most abrasive track on the Flux American Tour schedule, at least. There may be a European or Asian track that possibly has, as I said, inside there on the carousel can catch you out if you're not set up for it. But as I said, there may be other ones that are as abrasive, but here on the American Tour, Willow Springs is going to test them. I will be surprised. I don't know that we'll see somebody go the distance without a pit stop in this race. I really don't know if that is a possibility. I mean, you may see somebody try to do it. I think that the fuel tank will probably get them there, but the tires are going to be a massive factor. Deadly Hawk's got that Porsche up into third place now. Still some fast drivers that haven't put down their best laps yet, but as we said, he ran that Porsche all season last season. I think the general consensus among sports car people is the Porsche is better in GT3 trim than it is in GTE trim. But he's done a fabulous job with that car this season, even though he's got some damage they're going to have to fix at the end of the qualifying session. Last season he was mid-pack the whole season. Matter of fact, I'm going to try here to pull up my tools here so that I can confirm. Where exactly our GTE guys were last season. Even give you a cue here. Yeah, Deadly Hawk 7th in the championship last season. I'll take a look here at how they did at Willow Springs last season. In these cars. Last season's winner here of the Flux ASC round at Willow Springs was our own Lecky 2000. He is not back in the race this season. Cat Guy was second, and CDN Trooper, the eventual series champion, joined him on the podium. So two of those drivers not in the race today. So Cat Guy, the best returning finisher. Super Crusher ran this race last season to a 4th place finish. Last season's 5th place finisher was Taijo in that Ford. So that rounds out your top 5 that we saw last season. There are going to be a few drivers who did not have the luck that they were looking for in the first round at Daytona. There's O'Brien in the factory number 4 Corvette. O'Brien was battling for the lead in the early parts of the race when he had a steering failure and was forced to retire. He was battling with Dale and was forced to retire, so O'Brien, no points coming in, but as we know, it's a long season. There's definitely time to make it up, but he's definitely going to want to make some here. And of course, last season's runner-up here in this race and runner-up in the championship as well, actually third in the championship last season, OGR Cat Guy in the factory number 3 Corvette. He suffered a mechanical failure just prior to the race last week and could not run, so he comes in with no points on the board, looking to come up with something. As you can see, Willow Springs very, very close. We've got the top 8 drivers all within a second of each other here on the qualifying board, and this is a tough place to get a clean qualifying lap in on, I can assure you. But Cat Guy's definitely going to want to get everything he can out of this race after not scoring last week. He is a maestro in that Corvette. Was the Flux IndyCar champion last season and looks to have similar success in 2021 season 2. Said we'd give some time here to another one of our vet stars, just piddling in the McCool number 50. Made his series debut last week with a runner-up finish. Ran pace for pace with Dale the Whale for most of the second half of that race, and definitely has made his announcement as a championship contender here in the Flux American Sports Car Championship. As you can see, as he whips through turn 3 there in one of the most difficult sections of this very fast track. Going to try to move up. As I said, he qualified, I believe, 9th last week and ended up, or was it 7th, and ended up, either way, he was mid-pack and ended up in 2nd place. So he looks about right there right now, but he appears to have something race trim. Some guys just don't set up. I myself am one of those. I don't set up for qualifying trim. I set up for race trim and long runs, and that paid off for him. Another driver looking to, as we said, cash in from problems last week, including O'Brien and Cat Guy. That, to me, names 3 championship contenders. Pogo Mojo in the number 39 Alvis store, a Liv store, whatever, Corvette. Pogo blew his motor at the very beginning of last week's race at Daytona. He too scored no points. That is a definite championship contender here in the Flux American Sports Car Championship, and he's going to be looking to pick up points. But right now he's mired back in 8th in qualifying. He's going to want to get a little farther up than that after not getting on the board last week. Green Gaiman was the 8th place finisher in the points in the Flux ASC last season. He did not run last week as he had eligibility issues with the PlayStation Network that he has since sorted out. He is on the reserve list here, so he is making his first start in a BMW in the M3 and is the only BMW in the field. We will track his progress throughout this race. Does not have much pace on it right now, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Those are our 14 starters. Bottom there is the Flux account, and 15, that's me holding up in the booth for you. NZ Jack jumping right back out front with a 111.167. I do not believe he won a pole last season in this series. This is a good time to check that out. Last season's pole positions were spread out. There was no repeat pole winner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different pole winners last season. And was NZ Jack one of them? And he was not. So if NZ Jack can hang on to this pole in the last minute, it will be his first career pole in the Flux American Sports Car Championship. So picking up that bonus point. As we said, he was not, will want to move up after managing to do, checking through my stats here, that's from last season. Apologize while I sort my notes out. That's right, Jack finished 7th last week, another car that wants to get up on the podium and get things going here. Even in the predecessors here to our affiliation with Flux on the American Tour, we long had a strong group of European and especially Australian and New Zealand drivers that run over here in North America, and we love to have them. They have long brought a rich and competitive motorsports history. At the moment, I would say we are looking at a surprise, unless Dale the Whale, let's see if he does not add it. We're going to keep an eye on Dale, as he's known he stole the pole last week. This is going to be his last shot, but I would say we're going to have a bit of a surprise here in qualifying at Willow Springs. If things stay the way they are, can Dale steal that pole here at the last second? He comes off the corner. We'll see if he's got something with that vet. And he does not. A few more cars still on the track with a shot. But they are all wrapping up. All right, folks, that is qualifying here at Willow Springs. So I am going to give you your starting lineup for the Flux Motorsport 2021 Season 2 Round 2 of the American Sports Car Championship at Willow Springs. Capturing his very first pole in the Flux American Sports Car Championship, NZ Jack with a 111.167 in that vet. A fantastic run with a career best in the ASC. Qualifying second in his Ford GT is Taijo, a terrific lap for him. Qualifying third, last week's winner at Daytona, Dale the Whale, also in a vet. He will be flanked on the outside of row 2 by O'Brien in the factory number 4 vet. Starting on the inside of row 3, a terrific qualifying run. 5th place with the Porsche for Deadly Hawk. So just 3 vets in the in the top 5 qualifying. He'll be flanked on the outside by the factory vet of OGR Cat Guy. Inside of row 4, starting in 7th, last week's runner-up, Just Piddlin', also in a vet. He will be flanked by Pogo Mojo. Inside of row 5, starting 9th, will be It's Your Boy Squash. He was the winner last week in IndyCar at Daytona. He will be flanked by the 4th place runner a week ago, Super Crusher. Inside of row 5, Super Crusher's teammate, Dad Rebs Martin, will be the inside of row 6, flanked by Luke Snipes in the only Ferrari in the field this week. Inside of row 7, Muttley brings up the 2nd Ford GT, the yellow Ford GT, and he will be flanked in the BMW by Green Gaiman GT, the Canadian driver. That is your field this week at Willow Springs. Let's get it going. I will get myself out of the car here, get myself on the monitor. We are going to be prepared here relatively quickly to jump to the back of the field on chase cam, which may be the best way to see these guys coming through the battle. But 14 cars here, the Flux American Sports Car Championship, running the GTE class here today at the desert track at Willow Springs. We will continue tomorrow night as the Indy cars come here for round 2 of the Flux IndyCar Championship. That one looks to be a cracker, as It's Your Boy Squash looks to defend his race win from Daytona on the oval last week. But front row here, NZ Jack and Taijo. It'll be vet against Ford going into turn 1. This place can be tricky. Turn 1 is very dangerous. The track very abrasive on tires. I fully expect to see some rubber banding. We've got a lot of, as I said, I don't want to say desperate in round 2 of 8, but O'Brien, Cat Guy, Pogo, several guys that are championship contenders that did not score points last week due to technical issues. So they're going to be driving with a little more grit in their teeth. All right, we should be getting the green flag on the rolling start here at Willow Springs momentarily. All right, here we go. They come rolling out of turn 9 here at the desert, bringing it down to the start. NZ Jack and we are green at Willow Springs. Alright, apologies. I'm having microphone issues here in the house. Battery trouble knocked me out for about the last 3 or 4 minutes, so bear with the Flux TV technical problems. That's why we take donations. Go to fluxmotorsport.com where you can join the league as a competitor. You can find all of our merch, or you can make a donation if you like what you see, which helps with our technical problems. But anyway, we're watching a battle here for 7th place, or 6th place I should say, as Pogo Mojo is right on the tail of Super Crusher here. You saw on the broadcast earlier your pole sitter NZ Jack losing it in turn 9 and dropping all the way back to 10th place, so not the start that he was hoping to see. It's your boy Squash already hitting the pit in that Ford. I must have missed him, as he's also in the 3rd Ford GT, the white one. And he's making some repairs. This is definitely an unscheduled pit stop, just 7 minutes into this 45-minute event. Meanwhile, up front, Taijo in the Ford GT coming from the outside front row has shot to the lead, but he has got last week's winner, Dale the Whale, all over his tail. As they come through turn 8 and head towards turn 9, they're being trailed by the factory vets of O'Brien and Cat Guy, but still very early on here in this race, very competitive. You can see Pogo finally got by Super Crusher. Deadly Hawk started 5th in that Porsche, and he is holding on to it. Let's get on board here with Dale the Whale in the cockpit of his number 21 Chevrolet Corvette as he chases down Taijo, going through the carousel here as you see it on your map down there, the southeast corner. Gotta try to keep the muscle behind that thing as he slides it off wide. Gonna lose a bit of time there. And it looks like Taijo losing a little bit, getting a little bit wide there in turn 3. And you can see that car wiggling. He may be having some of those, starting to feel those tires coming in about 7 laps in, which is not impossible to start feeling that tire wear already here at a place like Willow Springs. But it's also that old adage, catching someone and passing someone are two completely different things, no more so than they are here. And he's just going to have to, he also has to keep in mind, depending on what his strategy is, if he's trying to make it without stopping, you can't use up the tires 10 minutes into the race trying to get by somebody. There's just too much time here left. We've seen guys in this series many times come from mid-pack, 10, 12 seconds back, and move their way to the front. So there's a very distinct possibility that we could see something along those lines. They are trailed not real far there by O'Brien. As we said, O'Brien was running up front last week until he had steering failure in the bus stop at Daytona and failed to score. He has settled in comfortably to the 3rd spot and is just 1.2 seconds back, with Cat Guy just behind them here in the early going, as we are just past 9 minutes in, working lap 8 of what I'd anticipate would be somewhere in the range of between 40 and 45 laps, probably 42, 43 laps, give or take. Pogo and Super still battling for position. They've also got just Piddlin in there on this battle. But right now, let's get some at the back. The Ferrari of Luke Snipes is battling the Ford of Muttley for 10th place. As you can see by the look on the nose of that Ferrari, Luke has definitely had a couple of bang-ups, but staying on it and running hard, trying to get himself back up into contention here, now working about 25 seconds back. Revs Martin's got the other Team Paris Spirit car. He's back in 12th. I don't see damage. He might just have had an off-track excursion or two, but still very early on. And then, of course, you got the BMW of Green Gaming. It's your boy Squash, who made the early pit stop and some repairs, is now running perhaps as much as a lap down. Yes, he is a lap down now. All right, meanwhile, back up front, Taijo has led from the go from the 2nd qualifying spot. He still has Dale the Whale all over him, and O'Brien not far behind him, as the front 4 have put some separation between themselves and the cars behind. But you look at those lap times that they're running. Deadly Hawk running a 1:12.4. that was the fastest among those front runners on that last lap. So he might be able to stay in this just yet. If he continues to run at that pace in that Porsche, we may see him in this battle before this thing is over as they work lap 10. Looks like that car may have come back a little bit to Taijo as he works his way through the carousel. But these front four are definitely in a class of their own. I'd say Deadly Hawk, Pogo, and Super, they're not far off of that, but they are definitely going to need to regain some track position to get back into it here. And perhaps we will see soon if guys are going to have to make pit stops here. This is the one track that the tires may dictate that. Dale the Whale still all over Taijo, but Taijo just running a smart race, running his line in the number 2 Ford Performance GT. And here comes Dale looking to make a move. They're weaving all over the track. I'm not sure if that's a block or just trying to hang on to the car, but either way, it's compelling stuff as Dale wants to get to that lead. He just burned a 1:11.9, which I believe is the fastest lap of the race so far. As the fuel's starting to burn off. Now, when I see the lap times drop 11 laps into this race, that tells me we might have had some heavy cars, and that either means that they're not taking fuel when they make their stop or they're planning on going all the way. So we'll just have to wait and see. Still 32 minutes to go. As I said, just 13 minutes in to this 45-minute championship event. But Dale has gotten there to Taijo. He just cannot quite set him up to make the pass. And I think he may have done it now. They're side by side. No, not quite. Dale's going for it. Gives Taijo the room when he ran out of track there, but these two slowed down on that lap as they battled. O'Brien not able to take advantage of it, but Cat Guy sure did. I said it still looks like about the top 8 are well within striking distance here at this point. Less than 15 minutes in. We do have what appears to be one retiree. I'll try to check that and see who that is. Not Luke, not Revs. Not Deadly Hawk. I don't want to break away from this battle, but Pogo just got by Deadly Hawk for 5th place, so Pogo has finally got that Corvette working. He's got moved up from about 8th spot, got past Super Crusher. Now he's battling with Deadly Hawk, who's not going away, as these two are side by side. Porsche versus Corvette for 5th place, and Deadly Hawk saying, nuh-uh, not giving that up. And they are door to door. Pogo appears to have the line coming through there, but Deadly Hawk's not going anywhere, as they are backed up here about 4 cars deep for 5th place. That's Pogo in the front of the line, Deadly Hawk, Super Crusher, and then just Piddlin. As Pogo appeared to lose some traction there, gave it back to Deadly. They are side by side, they touch. And that just looks like good hard racing to me, as they were just trying to go for the same piece of real estate. Nothing nefarious about that. Pogo comes out finally on top of it. I'm not sure if Deadly gave him the spot or not. Oh, it's It's Your Boy Squash is out. After damaging that car, it appears as though It's Your Boy Squash has parked his Ford GT and has moved. Oh, we got a big accident. Big accident. That's Pogo Mojo. He goes wide. He made contact with somebody real hard. Just Piddlin and Pogo coming together in turn 9, and Pogo's proclivity for finding himself in the wrong place at the wrong time indeed rears its ugly head as he and Just Piddlin, there were 4 cars there, Deadly Hawk, Super Crusher as well, were involved in it, and now Pogo's going to come in cursing the gods again, as there were 4 cars in that turn 9, and it looks like he and Just Piddlin come out worse for wear. Pogo's going to hit the pit lane for repairs and hope to see what he can get. Just Piddlin, he's got some damage on that car as well. I can't see. Yeah, he's slowed way down. I'm going to have to imagine we're going to see him into the pit lane as well. So a real disappointment for him after last week's 2nd place finish. Let's see if Super Crusher and Deadly Hawk came out of that okay. Looks like Deadly Hawk's all right, and maybe a little bit of damage to the back of the car possibly. But when you saw the camera angle, didn't show us much about how it initiated it, but there were an awful lot of cars together side by side going through turn 9, and there just was not the real estate to make that happen. Dale the Whale went around. Uh-oh. We've got mechanical trouble for last week's winner. Or perhaps, well, no, we don't. We have a glitch on the track. That's what we're looking at right there. Just Piddlin, meanwhile, as we said, also on to pit road, obviously, to make repairs. Meanwhile, up front, the battle continues. Taijo still in the lead here, working lap 15, but he has got last week's winner, Dale the Whale, all over him. Still, the question is, how much are they using their tires up in this battle? O'Brien sitting back there in 3rd, Cat Guy sitting back there in 4th. They might just be licking their chops. Looks like Deadly Hawk did not get out scot-free from that battle. He may not have banged up the car, but he lost some time here to the leaders. And they are now 14 seconds back from the front runners, as Just Piddlin appears to be making some serious repairs there to his Corvette on pit lane. Lap time staying right there in the 112, 113s. I think that has more to do at this point with how clear of a track you have on a lap than anything. These two do not have a big clear track, so they're running in the 113s again as Cat Guy starts moving in. Deadly Hawk, Super Crusher, and NZ Jack are 2 of the fastest cars on the track at the moment, and they are battling. We don't want to get away from this lead, but let's take a look at them for the moment, as those 2 are battling for 6th place and running some of the fastest laps on the course right now. Just looking for something to get them back into it. They're running quick, but not quicker enough than the leaders that it's a foregone conclusion they can get there. Back up front, it stays the same. Taijo, Dale, O'Brien, your top 3 running right there, pretty much nose to tail. And this is such a fast track at Willow Springs. One of the unique things about it, because of that speed, it reminds some of racing through the back sections at Monza, such as I believe the Parabolica it's called. You're going to get aero disruption. You're going to have what we here in the States call dirty air. You're going to get aero understeer, aero oversteer, or loose and push from the car in front of you. These corners are so fast, and these cars are big enough to cut that air, that Dale probably feels like I can get him in turn 1, I can get him in turn 9, but he cannot quite get the air on his front nose to give him the downforce to fully push through that corner the way he wants to, in order to make the move. Meanwhile, out back, Just Piddlin and Pogo have found each other again, both of them having made it in for repairs. And they cannot be that far ahead or behind the leaders at this point. Yeah, they're a lap down, a little more than that. As we have passed the 20-minute mark, nearing in on halfway in about the next couple of laps, which tells me we're going to do about 40-41 laps of this thing, working 18 right now. Cat Guy moving back, or O'Brien I should say, moving in on these front two. If we're going to see scheduled pit stops, I'd have to believe we'd see them sometime soon. O'Brien is right there. This makes this a great time to get into the cockpit of his number 4 factory Corvette Racing Z7R. Oh, and around goes Dale. Around goes Dale, and O'Brien cannot avoid him. Last week's winner, Dale, loses it coming up over the section we called Wheelhop Ridge. We had an entire conversation about that in the driver's meeting. He loses it over Wheelhop Ridge, and O'Brien could not avoid him. He takes massive damage on his front end as well, and that is the last thing that he wanted after having failed to score points last week. He is going to take a big hit. Dale the Whale's leaving debris all over the track. He's going to hit the pit lane and make needed repairs, as you'd have to believe O'Brien is. That's a situation. Dale losing it on Wheelhop Ridge. O'Brien nowhere to go, or at least he didn't react quick enough to get into the sand. Came over the ridge and just saw him right in front of him, T-boned him. And so O'Brien and Dale, the second and third place cars here right about the halfway point, are going to have to hit the pit lane and make some repairs. And that looks like extensive repairs on both of them. And so that cycles up. That leaves Ty Joe by himself up front. He has about 3 seconds on Cat Guy, who now runs in second. And they have a bit of a gap back to Deadly Hawk in that Porsche, who's now running all the way up in third, 13 seconds back. With NZ Jack cycling to 4th and Super Crusher cycling up to 5th. So lots of action here at Willow Springs. That's a situation there. Dale is repaired and already out, well ahead of O'Brien, so it appears that O'Brien took the worst of that with that head-on crash. Dale managing to come out in 8th place, so he might be able to salvage something out of this. If he can, he might even still be able to get a top 5 out of this race, which after the win last week would put him in a real good chance at maintaining the points lead, as he's coming up on Reps Martin for 7th. O'Brien, meanwhile, still in the pit lane. That is some long repairs. He goes down a lap and does not appear as though he's going to be able to move much further up. But Dale got very lucky, lost it right there, did the right thing. He stayed where he was, but O'Brien could not avoid him. And now as Dale moves up into 7th, you got to say he might be able to come out of this possibly as much as a top 5 finish, or at least from where he's at, top 7, be in decent shape. And he's going to move up another one now because Muttley has decided to hit the pit lane in his Ford. That is not a damage repair. Muttley making a strategy decision to go with a new set of tires, and he will make this change and come out. We'll see how that works out for him. So Dale, despite the damage, comes in, makes a quick repair. It's possible. The car looks pristine to me, so I think he definitely made a repair. He didn't come back out with it banged up. We'll see what kind of lap times he's turning and if he's going to get back competitive, but he's already back up to 6th place, so he's going to be able to mitigate some of the problems from that, at least to some extent, unless he loses it again. He's having some trouble with that car, losing it there in turn 3, as Dale I would imagine perhaps he didn't change tires when he came in and made the repairs because he wanted to try to save some time. That could be, he could be having some tire wear issues, but that is definitely going to affect his race. But you're looking at O'Brien, Pogo, Dale, all cars that have taken damage, that just piddling, all cars that I would have said no doubt were contenders and are now having some problems. Just piddling still with a little bit of damage. You can even see the raised up hood on the front of his car as he's trying to drive through much of that damage. you are looking at the battle for 10th. He is just piddling on board, looking ahead to the Corvette of Pogo Mojo, now running in 10th after his damage stop, as we are inside of 20 minutes here at Willow Springs in the Flux American Sports Car Championship. And compelling stuff that we are seeing. Coming up on the BMW of Green Gaiman running in 9th. All these cars a lap down. We've got 8 cars, I believe, still running on the lead lap. And Pogo, Green Gaiman trying to get out of the way there, just barely manages to do it. As he appeared to lose something a little bit there in turn 3. Might have even got a little bit of the bump from Pogo Mojo, who knows, but they were pretty close. This is where you'll feel that dirty air, especially if you have damage like he does. Let's watch when he makes that right-hand turn. When he comes off the corner here, he burps the throttle, gets back on it. He's handling it pretty well, but it does sound like, we'll see what their lap time is. 1:13s. Those are good competitive lap times. Got a little too close there, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to move them up any way that they want to run. Faster cars getting well into the 112s at this point. Next week, the Flux American Tour for both the Indy cars and this series, the ASC, will be at the venerable street circuit of Long Beach, the most famous street circuit in North America. We'll be here for this series next Friday night there, and that will be something else in these cars. Very tight confines of Long Beach. There's going to be a lot of debris on the track, I'm anticipating. A lot of little kisses of the wall, so to speak. But we're looking forward to those 2 races next week as the Flux American Tour stays on the West Coast. Just heads a little bit south and west to Long Beach. These 2, meanwhile, still at it. We will check in with their battle now for 9th place later on. Meanwhile, back up front, Taijo, little over 2 seconds. You can see Cat Guy in the Corvette behind him, but this is a Ford Corvette battle, as befits the Flux American Sports Car Championship. Taijo started on the outside front row, took the lead pretty early on. NZ Jack had that early spin, and Taijo has been in the lead since. He held off the challenge of Dale the Whale until Dale had his issues, but he is far from in the clear. 15.5 minutes to go, at least about 15 laps remaining, and he has got OGR Cat Guy, the 3rd place finisher in the championship a season ago, still well within striking distance and lapping at about the same pace. We're going to have to see who has more left on those tires later on. Will it be the Ford or the Corvette? Take a look on board. Give you a rotating cam here on Cat Guy in 2nd. He's looking up ahead there to Taijo. Cat Guy, a lot of experience here at this track, going back to other sanctioning bodies, the predecessors here to the Flux American Tour. He's been running here a long time, knows this place, and did not get the qualifying run that he wanted back mid-pack here. But as you said, we watched the trouble of the other cars up front. He has been lapping a leader's pace, and as a result, he has just slowly worked his way up, and now finds himself in second. As we said, Cat Guy wants to go for the win, but last week had mechanical troubles in the pit lane, could not race at Daytona. He just needs to get his season off on the right foot and get some points on the board. So while he'd love to go for that win, and he had one win in the series last season, so it would be his second career win in the series should he get it, he would love to add to that. However, it is definitely important for him just to get some points on the board and not overdo it. 13 and a half minutes to go. He's lapping right there. Taijo lapping a little bit quicker actually right now. And so that might be also factoring into Cat Guy's decision making. Some time here to Deadly Hawk in the Porsche mainstay. There were two Porsches last season in the series. Deadly Hawk, the only one this season. We talked about him in the pre-race. He qualified 5th. He was running steadily in 5th when O'Brien and Dale had their problem. He's moved up to 3rd. He's now coming through some lap traffic. You can see on the map in the corner, the white dots here refer to the lead cars, the two up there in the northern section coming out of turn 5 and 6. That is Taijo and Cat Guy up ahead of Deadly Hawk, and he is with the arrow right there going through turn 5 right now. So he's got 15 seconds to make up. But Deadly Hawk would absolutely love to get onto the podium. I'll check my stats here. I do not believe he ran well last season, finished 7th in the championship. But I do not believe he got on the podium last season. Let's take a look. Deadly Hawk. Yes, he did have one podium last season. That podium came at the Texas Motor Speedway road course in the season finale last season. So he would love to add his second career Flux ASC podium. And he's got about 10 seconds on NZ Jack, the pole sitter, right now in order to hang on to that. He's working through some lap traffic right now, though, so that could be a problem for him as he's coming up on what appears to be just Fiddlin and Lukey, which is Luke Snipes. As those two appear to be coming together, they're having their problems getting out of the way. Anyhow, back to NZ Jack. Your pole sitter took his first career pole in the series earlier this evening, but an early spin knocked him back. He has gotten back on it and has been lapping very cleanly ever since then. Didn't damage the car, has moved all the way back up to 4th place, so he's still in line to end up with a solid finish despite his early trouble. But you can't help but be disappointed. You qualify on the pole, you want to run up front, you saw that battle that was going on. He's definitely going to feel like he could have had more, but an excellent recovery drive. Super Crusher qualified well. He's currently running in 5th place. We'll see where his lap this time comes up. 1:13.8, solid, but not enough to get him back into this race, as he's looking to solidify another solid finish. As we said, winner last season at Laguna Seca. 1:13.6, good laps, not going to get him quite up. Dale the Whale, meanwhile, in 6th place, is just tearing it up, running in the 111s with a clean track. But the damage may be done. He may have a shot at getting into the top 5 and getting the Super Crusher. We'll wait and see. But barring somebody else's misfortune, I don't think we're going to see much more than that. Dale definitely making a play, however, for the fastest lap bonus for the second straight week. So to see where that 111.3 puts him, that would in fact claim it at this point. So we'll see if anybody else can top that 111.3. But inside of 10 minutes, in fact down to 9 minutes to go, it remains Taijo out front from the beginning. He has led all 29 laps completed so far, about to make it lap 30 in the Ford GT, which despite being competitive has not won a race in the 2 seasons of the Flux American Sports Car Championship, and this would be the first one. And Taijo is the guy to do it. He has spent the last season developing this car. He's been gradually getting it more competitive. He was 5th overall. I'm sorry, double check that. Ran 13th last season in the championship, but definitely a guy that could definitely be a competitor, and this race might be the one that announces that. Like I said, he ran 5th place last week at Daytona, so this could put him in a position to take the points lead for the first time. But you also have to realize 8 minutes to go, 31 laps. These cars have had a lot of wear on the tires. They're going to be hanging on to these things at the end of this race. It really depends on who had the best long run setup as to whether they're going to be able to get close enough to make a play for them. Take a check in on O'Brien as he's trying to work his way past Luke Snipes to get 10th place. O'Brien, as we said, qualified in the 4th position, was on the 2nd row, was running in 3rd place, could not avoid the spinning Dale the Whale coming out of Wheelhop Ridge and went T-boning into him. He had extensive repairs that put him a lap down to the leaders, but he's going to try to salvage what he can get. May have a shot, since he has a relatively fixed up car. He does have some damage to the front there. Perhaps has a shot at moving up as high as 9th, but he's just going to have to take the points he can get here in round 2 and move on to next week at Long Beach. Still a contender despite his bad luck in these first 2 races, but he's going to have to definitely bring it next week at Long Beach as he finally gets by Luke Snipes, and we'll see if he can hold it and hang on to 10th place. Dale the Whale continuing to tick off those laps in the 111s now that he is on his own. Clear track meant he could run the fastest laps, which tells you exactly how important it was that Taijo fought him so hard early in the race and didn't want to give up that position. He knew what Dale could do out on his own, so he was going to make him earn it, and it worked. He forced Dale into a mistake, and now has a bit of a cushion up front. We'll see if Dale's moving in on Super Crusher. For Dale to end up, if he could possibly end up with a top 5 after getting into an accident like that, that would be both incredibly lucky and an excellent recovery drive. Back up front, just out of this frame, there comes Cat Guy. We're looking to see some kind of challenge. He's 2 seconds back, but not quite lapping as fast as Taijo right now. And we've also got some drama brewing for the 3rd spot, as suddenly NZ Jack is now within just 5 seconds of Deadly Hawk for that final spot on the podium, which would be an excellent recovery for NZ, who spun early in the race after starting on the pole. So we've got battles for the win and battles for the podium coming up, and possibly for the top 5. So all the 3 big prestige positions look to be on the line here, coming down towards the end of this race. Good time to get into the cockpit with Cat Guy. of the factory number 3 Corvette. As you can see, he's got Ty Joe right there in front of him. He lapped him. Ty Joe had a bad lap that last time, 1:14.6, and Cat closed in on him. Let's see if that's a trend or if that's just an anomaly. Oh, and we've got trouble right here as well with a lap of 1:18. Deadly Hawk is obviously having trouble in that Porsche, and he has lost gobs of time now and has NZ Jack right on him for 3rd place here in the last few minutes. I'd have to believe that's just tire wear. There's not really any marks on that Porsche. Deadly Hawk has had a fantastic race. He may just be running out of rubber, running out of Michelin's on that Porsche. As he's trying to get through lap traffic right now, the McCool car, I believe, is just piddling. He's trying to get by, and he does in fact get by him there going into turn 9, but he is going to have to defend that podium spot here over the last few minutes. Meanwhile, Cat Guy moving in, that time 0.7 of a second quicker than Ty Joe, and he is moving in now here in the last few minutes as these guys are hanging on for dear life. The first Flux ASC win for a Ford is definitely in the balance. And we're going to try to switch back and forth to these battles. Still the lapped car between Deadly and NZ. But this is your battle for the win. We're going to get 3 or 4 more laps in. Not quite the pace I was expecting. Looking at between 40 and 45. It's looking more like we're going to about 38, 39, maybe 37. But time is winding. I'd say we've got 3 more laps to go here at this point. So it looks like we're going to do 38. Which is a little less than 100 miles, which is a lot on these tires. Still the lapped car there trying to get out of the way with those 3 battling, but the lead up front is the battle. Ty Joe looking for his first career win in the series. Cat Guy looking for his second. And it is coming down to who can keep the rubber on these tires for these last couple of laps. There's going to be 2 to go, I believe, here at the line. So they've got just over 5 miles remaining here at Willow Springs. Deadly Hawk still hanging on as NZ has gotten caught in the lap traffic a bit. But Cat Guy is moving in. Let's see what he does on this lap. He was 0.4 quicker last lap. This time they're even. This time they are dead even. And I think what you can attribute that to is what we saw with Dale earlier. He got close. He's getting close now, and he's starting to catch the air. He'll draft up to him, but it's going to slow him down a little in the corners, dealing with the dirty air, trying to set up the pass. Meanwhile, Dale the Whale's right there on Super Crusher to try to get back into the top 5, which, as we said, bravo to Dale. But this battle is on it. It's coming down to it. Battles across all 3 of the major positions, but we're going to stay with the leader. As I don't know, are they going to make it to do 1 more lap? Ty Joe hopes not. Cat Guy hopes so. I think they will. I think they will. I think we're going to get the white flag right here. Ty Joe would love to burp it. 1, yes, just in time, so he has to do 1 more lap. That is the white flag, as Cat Guy is all over Ty Joe for the win. Ty Joe has led from the start of this race. Dale the Whale, meanwhile, as we predicted, has moved into the 5th spot, while Deadly Hawk is still hanging on. They come through turn 3 for the last time, working it up through 4. I don't know if Cat Guy's got enough to get to him, but he is trying. Taijo looking for his first career win in the series, the first win for a Ford in the series. This place known for its great close racing, and we're seeing it yet again as they come down for the final time down the backstretch heading into turn 8. Looking into turn 9 now. I don't know if Cat Guy's going to have the air to make it. This is the last chance. If Taijo can hang on, and I don't think Cat Guy's going to get him. He's going to make the best effort, but it's going to be Taijo in the Ford GT picking up his first career win in the Flux American Sports Car Championship, followed closely by Cat Guy. Meanwhile, the battle for the podium, deadly. Looks like NZ Jack had some problems there at the end, maybe trying to get by him, but Deadly Hawk is going to bring that Porsche home in 3rd place for his 2nd career podium in the Flux American Sports Car Championship. A great run in that Porsche. How about that? Ford, Corvette, Ford, Chevy, and Porsche in the top on the podium. NZ Jack, recovery drive from the podium, gets it home in 4th place. A good run for him, gets himself on the board. And speaking of recovery drives, Dale the Whale is going to bring home that Corvette into 5th place. And he should barely hang on to the points lead over Taijo after round 2. But the man of the hour is Taijo in the Ford GT. Get some waves from him. His first career win, as we said last season. He spent all season running that Ford GT here in the Flux ASC. He spent time developing the car, took his lumps on occasion, had some bad races, but it's all paid off. He has worked that car up. He was 5th last week at Daytona. He has worked that car into a competitive setup and a competitive package and brings it home for his first career win in the Flux American Sports Car Championship and the first win for Ford. As we said, we get after a Corvette sweep of the podium last week, we've got Ford, Chevy, and Porsche. And that is going to bring us to your final results here at the Flux Motorsport 2021 Season 2 American Sports Car Championship at Willow Springs. Our winner, Taijo, in the Ford, a fantastic run, qualified on the outside pole, led all 38 laps on his way to the win. OGR Cat Guy, after the mechanical troubles last week, drives it back for the 2nd straight season, finishes 2nd here at Willow Springs in another fantastic battle. That puts him right back in the heat of the championship. Finishing 3rd, Deadly Hawk in the Porsche, qualified 5th, ran it in 3rd. He earned it. That was no fluke. A terrific run for the Porsche, his 2nd career podium. NZ Jack, your pole sitter. Bad luck early in the race. He drove that thing right back through the field, managed to get it up to 4th place and a solid points finish. Dale the Whale, last week's winner, was in the battle, took the damage, got the car back out on the track. Post a 1:11.3, which I believe, yes, is the fastest lap. He'll take the fastest lap bonus for the 2nd straight week and should maintain the points lead. A 6th place run for Super Crusher, appeared to run out of tires there at the end. He had some quick laps, a solid run after a 4th place run last week, looking very solid. Pogo Mojo, definitely a contender, took some more damage this week. He ends up 7th, a lap off the lead. Rebs Martin finishes in 8th, once again also a lap off the lead. O'Brien, battling for the win, ends up getting the worst damage of all of them. He comes home in 9th. Luke Snipes brings that Ferrari home in 10th place, and the last on the board we have Muttley with the Ford in 11th. Green Gaming brings home that BMW in the one-off drive in 12th, and Just Piddlin' had some damage trouble, ends up in 13th. It's your boy Squash 14th after retiring early in the race. All right, so that's going to wrap it up here from Willow Springs. We will see you tomorrow night on Flux TV. Same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 a.m. for those of you in the UK for the Flux IndyCar Championship, right back here on the Flux American Tour at Willow Springs. Last season's winner, Dale the Whale, looks to defend that race win against last season's champion of the series, OGR Cat Guy. All right, so for Flux TV, this is Carlin Hicks telling you all, signing off, good night, and congratulations to Taijo.